بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. Our last lesson we left off speaking on al-jahala excuse me al-jahala, a narrator being unknown, a narrator being called majhul. And al-jahala is the act of someone being majhul, or the concept of someone being majhul, unknown. We explained is from wujuh ta'n fi rawi, min wujuh ta'n fi rawi. It is from the reasons or the angles and the aspects of attacking a narrator, of slandering a narrator, defaming, disparaging, criticizing a narrator. Speaking on someone who is a reporter of hadith. And we say the word openly and easily, slandering and attacking, meaning scientifically. علميا يعني, scientifically. Okay? Talking about the science of hadith for the purpose of preserving the sunnah to Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, keeping it safe and sound. And there's no doubt that when it comes to defending and criticizing and purging, this is a noble act. It's a noble act. So that's why we say it like that. Okay? When it comes to a country sending its armed forces to fight for that which they believe is a righteous cause, for that which they believe is the only way, the correct way, okay, for peace, for justice, etc. So that's what we mean by that. Slandering and attacking the rawi, the narrator, for the sake of the sunnah to Nabi. Not slandering and attacking someone for personal reasons, ulterior motives, goals, hidden agendas. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about scientific attack, meaning critique, for the sake of the sunnah to Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam. Khairan inshallah. So, min wujuh ta'n fi rawi, as we explained, and it's very important. In a college of hadith, I had a professor in which we were taking the actual madda, the subject, al-jarh wa ta'dil. The teacher was a very good professor, and oftentimes he would be a bit humorous with the students and make a couple basic jokes, appropriate jokes. So, or actually I believe I had this teacher twice. I believe he taught me twice, 2 times. So the first time, we were studying the book, and he was teaching us the book, and he was showing us different things and important things. And he said to the students, he says, when you go to sleep at night, you wake up, the people come for Hajj, they come to visit you, someone talks to you, asks you your name, you tell them, wujuh ta'n fi rawi, kada, 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 kada. In other words, he was saying, you have to memorize these points like the back of your hand. Know that which is called wujuh ta'n fi rawi. How many and what are the angles of a narrator being critiqued and criticized because of his him being an innovator, him being unknown, him having poor memory, him being a sinner, him being this, him going against, him. Wujuh ta'n fi rawi, okay? So this is very important for the student of hadith to have a good, clear understanding of it, memorizing it, enumerating it, and actually just having tasawwur sahih. What is it? And what's meant by al-ta'n fi rawi? What is meant by attacking, slandering, disparaging a narrator? And more importantly, what is the purpose? What's the purpose? Okay? So we have a means of evaluation, a process of elimination. If the narrator, he says the first process started, he says that the hadith is the mardud is either going to be because of this or because of that. It's process of elimination. So if there's no saqt and there's no ta'n, then it's going to be maqbool. The hadith is going to be maqbool. If there is a saqt or ta'n, then the saqt is either going to be min mabadi as-sanad, min musannifin, or it's going to be from the way of the tabi'i, or it's going to be in the middle, mu'dal, munqati, etc. And then وَالطَّعْنُ إِمَّا أَنْ يَكُونَ لِكَذِبِ الرَّاوِي أَوْ تُهْمَتِهِ بِذَلِكَ. And the way that there's going to be a ta'an of the narrator is either going to be A, B, C, D, E, etc. And if none of those things are found, then the rawi isn't mat'un fi. He isn't someone who's being criticized or disparaged. Okay? So this is extremely important scientific classification, and to be detailed and to be sharp, mentally sharp in the sciences of hadith. So we have al-jahala, and we also explained the reasons behind al-jahala, okay, on having so many different names and so many different terms, okay. لغرض, Al-Hafidh al-Hajr rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned, for a reason, for a purpose, to keep this narrator hidden, to hide him, or for purpose of a person being discreet or mixing up his styles with his names, whatever the case is. لغرض, okay. وصنفوا فيه الموضح, it says here, ضبط هكذا. And in the Sharh al-Nuzha, it says أي في هذا النوع الموضح. So we have a discrepancy here in this print. The Nukat ala Nusrat al-Nadar, Shaykh Ali al-Halabi, with regards to one term, one way it says muwaddih, and other one in the Sharh says muldih, which is correct. Alright, so this needs to be fixed. And I don't know, maybe it has been fixed in the later versions of the print. Allahu alam. Al-Muhim. So the type that we have here is, or that which is well known, is al-mudih li-awham al-jam'i wa-tafriq. Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi rahimahullah, the one who wrote pretty much a book on every subgenre of hadith science, pretty much to an extent. Okay, he has a book in which he deals with, he says al-jam' wa-tafriq, and which narrators are the same and which narrators are different. As we said yesterday, the different names or nicknames or an alias that a person uses. So he wrote a book to show that this narrator is the same person. These 5 people, they're one person. He is Muhammad ibn Munir, he's Abu Ramla, he's Muhammad Abdul Hamid, okay, he's Abu Mas'ud, he's this one and he's that one. For Philadelphia, Al-Madani, for example, mathalan, okay? All of these different terms and different exotic ways his name being said and written and spelled is the same person. There isn't a different person. So it's no need to say that he's majhul or he's thiqa. No, this is the same liar. This is the same trustworthy person. Whatever his status is. Hopefully people can understand this and appreciate this science. Okay, so there isn't a different person. It's only one person. It's only one person. But he's a takthur nu'utuhu, has so many different names and titles, and the people think that he's more than one person. And there are other times in which there are different names in terms or spellings or cities and villages and ascriptions, but it actually is a different person. There is not the same person here. Okay, this one here, whether it's based off of spelling in English or actual words himself. So the name Muhammad ibn Munir, there's different ways of spelling it. You can spell Munir M-U-N-E-E-R. That's how I spell my name. Someone may spell it M-O-N-I-R. It says M-O-N-I-R. Or one may say M-U-N-I-R. That's 3 different ways of spelling Munir. Okay, and there are other ways you can spell it as well. One may come from Algeria, in which they have French influence. The French, the influence on their language and their culture, their passport. He spells Munir, for example, M-O-N-E-I-R-E, mathalan. Or the word Nur, N-U-R, N-O-O-R. N-O-I-R, N-O-I-R-E. So it's a different person. It's not the same person. Or sometimes it is the same person with different spelling. Okay? And anyone who's ever dealt with any type of paperwork, he knows how this can happen easily. So this goes to show how advanced the Muslims were. How advanced the Muslims were over 1,000 years ago. how advanced they were, and way ahead of their time they were. Okay, when there wasn't a such thing as paperwork. There was no paperwork in Europe. There was no paperwork in America. There was no America as we know it today. People living in that continent, the concept of, was it called America? All right, the modern colonizing and enslaving of the people and harvesting of the land. It was none of that. It was none of that. And the Muslims, they had this science in detail. Okay, he mentions here other scholars who went before him as well, which we're not going to get into right now. He mentions a simple example of the famous narrator whose name is Muhammad ibn Sa'ib. Muhammad ibn Sa'ib, who's known as Al-Kalbi. Some of them call him Muhammad ibn Sa'ib ibn Bishr. Okay? Some call him Hamad ibn Sa'ib. Some call him Abu Nadr. Some call him Abu Sa'id. Some call him Abu Hisham. All right? And people, they thought that he was a different person, but in actuality, it was just one person. It was just one person, as we just explained. Khayran, inshallah. Moving forward. Hafidh bin Hajar rahimahullah ta'ala says, وَقَدْ يَكُونُ مُقِلًّا فَلَا يَكْثُرُ الْأَخْذُ عَنْهُ وَصَنَّفُ فِيهِ الْوُحْدَانِ. Another reason behind jahala of the narrator is that he may be muqil. He may be someone who only made a few reports. He only gave a few reports. He isn't a busybody. He isn't someone who's really seriously devoted to making narrations and passing narrations down, learning and studying and busying himself with the science. Okay, فَلَا يَكْثُرُ الْأَخْذُ عَنْهُ. So he only has one or two students who only took a few basic hadiths from him. Okay, and when a person is muqil, he is only narrated a little. He is classed under the subgenre called al-wuhdan. 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 Okay? And al-wuhdan obviously is coming from wahid, or ahad, the same concept. All right? Is a person who is only have, as we said, only has about one or two students, if that. All right? Okay? Muslim, rahimahullah ta'ala, and others, they wrote books on this, on these people like this, all right, to show you that nothing slipped by. The people, they kept a close eye on everything, all right. We have books on trustworthy narrators, fabricators, liars, and narrators that were accused of this, accused of that, etc. Kullu shay, everything. Moving forward, he then says, أو لا يسمى اختصارا وفيه المبهمات. Or, the narrator, his name isn't mentioned. His name isn't mentioned for the purpose of ikhtisar, because they're trying to keep things brief. They're trying to keep things simple and brief. So they don't mention his name. So the people, if he says, a man told me, or as we say, mathalan, in the inner city, you say, my man told me. My man just told me. You say, my man. Who's this man of yours? Who is he? You know who he is. I know who he is. But I don't mention him because I'm speaking in a brief, quick, simple way. Let alone how people culturally speak. But the person who hears it, the one who learns it, the one who reads it in your messages, in your text message or your phone, who's this? Oh, I don't know who he is. But he was known to me and known to you, but not known to the third person. Okay, ikhtisaran, to keep things short and brief. For example, so in the sciences of hadith, someone say, this one narrated to me, this man, this person, this sheikh, haddathani sheikh or mashayikhi, whatever the case may be, and it's ibham. So this type or the specimen is called al-mubham or al-mubhamat, as we took in al-Bayquniya and we also took in al-Tadhkirah. We explained what's meant by al-mubham, all right? And they wrote books called al-mubhamat, all right? Let alone the supermarket books, as we explained, the compendiums in which has everything therein, all right? In which There are the narrators who are trustworthy, narrators who are weak, narrators who have been accused of innovation, narrators who had innovation but they were trustworthy, thiqah, and had bid'ah. They had bid'ah and they weren't thiqah. Narrators that were liars, narrators that were young, narrators that were women, narrators that were unknown, narrators who were mubhamat, weren't mentioned, let alone in the sharh as well. And oftentimes we find out who the mubham is through another tariq, another isnad. In the Jami' of Tirmidhi, in the Sanad, he's mentioned as mubham. But in the Musnad Imam Ahmad, his name is mentioned. And the person could be mubham in the isnad or mubham in the matan. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ. A man came to Ibn Mas'ud and said this. A man said that. The Prophet ﷺ said about a man. And in another version, another place, we find his name being mentioned. All right, very, very detailed, classy science. All right, which the precision of it is just uncanny. And alhamdulillah, this goes to show you that it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As we said, Allah made these people, He created them, the day in which He created them, all right, for the purpose of preserving the way, the sunnah to Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. So it's upon us to thank Allah for that great blessing. And this is in brief, okay, dear listeners, this is in brief. We're not using a board right now or a slideshow, or this is just brief explanation. So just imagine how deep the abyss can become. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. He says here, وَلَا يُقْبَلُ الْمُبْهَمُ وَلَوْ أُبْهِمَ بِلَفْظِ التَّعْدِيلِ عَلَى الْأَصَحِّ. He says, whenever a narrator is mentioned in this manner, he's mubham, حَدَّثَنِي رَجُلٌ, okay, or one says حَدَّثَنِي ثِقَةٌ or حَدَّثَنِي ثِقَةٌ. A trustworthy person told me, a trustworthy man told me. Hafiz bin Hajar, his opinion, okay, and this is very important for us to understand. In the sciences of hadith, there are things which there is ijma', consensus, and then there are things in which there is ikhtilaf, and there's a difference of views, ijtihad. All right, and it's as we say this all of the time in our classes, over and over again, it is a capital mistake to take an issue of ijtihad and then paint it, cover it, spray paint it as an issue of ijma', and then force your opponent, the one that you're debating with or differing with or having an argument with, force him into the corner as if it's ijma'. Tuhawwil alayh, you make it seem like such a big scary thing. Okay, haybat al-ijma', you're going against ijma'. Look what he said. Look what Hafiz bin Hajar said. This is principles. These are qawaid. These are usul, the ulama. That's unfair. Okay, and that's the usloob. That is the style of a weakling, someone who's weak in knowledge, in which he has to resort to these kiddie, immature tricks to get his point across and to beat somebody down and to make someone look bad and defame someone. It's clear-cut ijtihad. The dalil is on both sides. It can be different. It's different ways. A person that comes along as if it's ijma', or the opposite, which is also very dangerous, and which the people that use to trick and deceive the general masses, and which is an issue of consensus of the ulama, and they try to come and bring and practice ijtihad. It says it has to be ijtihad, and it's in 2018 in this issue, my view, my opinion, my studies. Ya akhi, this is mujma' alayh bayna ahl al-ilm. There's no difference in this. Okay, now obviously the problem lies in there actually being ijma'. All right, now ijma' in its details is to be discussed in usul al-fiqh. But as we've explained in the tadhkirah, there are many issues of usul al-fiqh that are also applicable in ilm al-mustalah and vice versa. So Imam Ahmad is the famous, and he's quoted. The famous quote of Imam Ahmad says, "Man idda al-ijma' faqad kadhaba ma yudrihi la'allahum ikhtalafu." Aw kama qala. He says, anyone who claims that there's ijma' has lied. He's lied. How does he know that they didn't differ? Meaning, people quote ijma' so quickly. And when you actually sit down and look, there are many mukhalifin, many people who didn't take that view. But they didn't know about them, or they didn't mention them because they didn't consider them to be worthy of being mentioned, or they didn't like them, or whatever the case may be. Whatever the case may be. So quoting ijma' quickly and simply is dangerous. But when there is ijma', that's a whole different story. That's a whole different story. And from the benefits of, as a fa'idah, like Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala mentions about Ibn Hazm rahimahullah ta'ala, all right, the brilliant scholar, which many people hated and hate to this day. And there's nothing wrong with that. Anyone who's brilliant is going to make enemies. He has to make enemies. That's the way of life. Okay. The point is that he mentions a fa'idah about Ibn Hazm and about the Zahiri school, and he says that min alam al-nas, from the most learned men of ijma' and khilaf, is Ibn Hazm. He doesn't care about the other madhabs. And this is the supposed view of Shafi'i or Abu Hanifa or Malik, and he doesn't care about that. He uses the dalil, he uses the athar, he uses the principles. He goes al-amru yadul ala al-wujub, no matter what the other madhabs said. Even if it seems as if he's going against ijma', or if he's yashudh an al-ulama, if he's the only one taking this view, he's taking a sole opinion, only this tabi'i said it, only the sahabi said it. But the point is that he is from the most learned people in which there's actual difference of opinion. So when someone like Ibn Hazm mentions ijma', it's golden. It's golden because he's someone who, when he says tafaqat al-ummah, the scholars agree, the Muslims agree unanimously, then you know there's actual ijma'. Because he isn't lazy and sloppy with regards to narrating ijma' like many of the madhabi people are. All right? And the shurrah are. Okay? And that's why Ibn Hazm has a book, Maratibu al-Ijma', the levels of al-Ijma'. And Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he made a critique of that book, Naqdu Maratib al-Ijma', Ibn Hazm. So once I was in a discussion with a brother, a well-known colleague of mine from Mecca, and we were bringing up the issue of shaving the beard. And he was asked a question, and he said, I don't think shaving the beard is, haram, or a big sin like that. It's not good to do. So I mentioned to him, I said, Ya Sheikh, Ibn Hazm naqal al-ijma'. He's mentioned ijma' of the ulama that it's haram to shave the face for a man. He never heard about this statement. Obviously, he, for one reason or another, he wasn't trained to look into these types of books and read these sources. He was, the dogmatic Hanbali way of looking at things and only those limited sources. So I said, Ibn Hazm mentions the ijma' of the ulama. So he says, Ibn Hazm? He says, I never heard that. I say, yeah. And then I mentioned what Ibn Taymiyyah said, who was a Hanbali, that he is min alam al-nas bil ijma' wal khilaf. And when he says ijma', then that's serious. So the brother, he accepted it. So the point is that there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance. All right? And the same is no different than the sciences of hadith. So Ibn Hajar rahimahullah ta'ala, he says alal asah. He says according to the strongest view, proving that there isn't consensus, that there is not consensus. He says, فَإِنْ سُمِّيَ وَانْفَرَدَ وَاحِدٌ عَنْهُ فَمَجْهُولُ الْعَيْنِ. So therefore, if the narrator's name is actually mentioned, his name is actually mentioned. He mentions his name, Abdurrahman. His name is Hamdi. Okay, his name is Ibrahim. His name is mentioned. He says, one farada anhu, or he says one farada wahidun anhu, and he only has one student. Pay close attention, he doesn't mention teacher, but he mentions student. He only has one disciple, one pupil. Then he is called majhul al-ayn. He's called majhul al-ayn. That's the term that he is given. He is majhul, unknown, called al-ayn, which basically means, obviously the word ayn in the Arabic language has many meanings. All right? It doesn't just mean an eye. Ayn can mean that shay, something itself, a thing, an essence. Okay? Ayn can mean a spring, as is mentioned in the Quran, a pond, a pool. Ayn can mean a spy. Huh? وهكذا. Different meanings of ayn. Alright, ayn could mean negativity. Alright, or somebody may say negative energy, evil eye, jealousy, envy. Someone looking at you, giving you the ayn, giving you the evil eye. Alright, وهكذا. Al-Muhim, what's important is he is called Majhulul Ayn. Alright, we have his name, but there's only one person who narrates from him. Okay? The other details will come later, Bidnillah Ta'ala, in a second. Back to the point of why can't we take someone whose name is a thiqah, the trustworthy person? Why can't we accept it? That's because this imam, he may consider this person to be thiqah to him, but he isn't thiqah to someone else. He's trustworthy to you, but to others he isn't. So we need his name. We need to know who he is. All right, we need to know who he is. And this is a game that is played by many people today in the dawah scene. They say a trustworthy person told me, a trustworthy source. Who is this trustworthy source? No, I need his name. We need to know his credentials. Who is he? His background, his lifestyle. And don't just say a trustworthy person, because he may be trustworthy to you because he's your friend. He's trustworthy to you because you have shared interests. But to the rest of the people, he's a blasted liar. He's a terrible womanizer. To the rest of the people, he's a failure, a dropout. He's a person who can't speak Arabic, can't recite the Fatiha properly. So he isn't trustworthy to the rest of the people. So don't say he's trustworthy. So this is why we demand who the person is. We need to know his name. Okay? Khairan, inshallah. As far as the concept of Majhulul Ayn, then he only has one reporter from him. And the question is, if he only has one pupil, one person who narrated from him, but what if there's ta'dil? What if one of the imams said that he's trustworthy and gave him ta'dil and said that he's thiqah, he's hafid, he's thiqah thabt? Okay, then what? What do we do then? All right, so that's an issue. Right here, he's saying if he only has one pupil, and his name is mentioned, he's Majhul al-Ayn. If he's Majhul al-Ayn, then we've learned that Jahala is min wujuh ta'an fi rabi. He then says, أو اثنان فصاعدا ولم يوثق فمجهول الحال وهو المستور. He says, or he has at least two students, yani two or more pupils that narrated from him. Not just one, but at least two, three, etc. وَلَمْ يُوَثَّقْ. But once more, there's no tawthiq. Imam Ahmad, Ibn Ma'in, Ibn Madini, Salih Jazara, okay, no one declared him to be strong. No one declared him to be a good narrator with a good background and a good memory. Then he is called Majhul al-Hal. Majhulu al-Hal. And another nickname or term, Ibn Hajar, he says he's Mastur, meaning he's covered up. He's hidden, he's screened. Meaning, what he's basically saying is that the situation isn't that bad. We don't have no jarh on him. We don't have no criticism on him. No one slandered or attacked him as a narrator. But at the same time, no one said he was a good narrator. No one said he was a trustworthy narrator. No one said he had a strong memory. So he's gray. She's shaded. He's not black, nor is he white. In the middle. Okay? There are a few people who narrated from him. We don't have no disparaging remarks or no criticism or any remarks of praise for him. So it's called Mastur. So the question is now, what do we do with him? What do we do with this person's narration? All right? Bidnillah ta'ala, when you study bigger books, or even a book like this, but just on a deeper scale, especially in Arabic, and you deal with the science of hadith more, you get more beefy studies, you learn more about this concept and how the science of the jarh wa ta'dil, okay, is very detailed and many aspects and many dimensions, clearly based off of ijtihad of the ulama, okay, and not like the statement of some who say there's no khilaf in al-jarh wa ta'dil. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. When I heard these words come out of the mouth of an alim, I won't mention his name, in Medina, it was many years ago. The hair on the back of my neck stood up, as they say. I don't have hair on the back of my neck like that. But people, they make that statement. Meaning I was utterly appalled. Utterly appalled. And I said to myself, how can the sheikh say that out of his mouth? Maybe the sheikh is old, maybe he's tired, but that's not how he spoke. He said it decisively. He says, no khilaf in jarh wa ta'dil. And the sheikh's, his speciality wasn't hadith. I was absolutely just grief-stricken that I heard that statement. And the people, they sat around and they listened to him and they just sucked it up from him. And I said to myself, yeah, sheikh, I'm a small beginner in the college of hadith. But the basic few books that we've read, the ABCs, hooked on phonics books that we've read, such as Nukhbatul-Fikr, how can you make that statement? And Ibn Hajar clearly says, Al asah, on the correct view. وَقَدْ Nasai, Juzajani, this one, that one, Kayf, Billahi alayk. So this is an amazing statement. And anyone can make a mistake and say something which is clearly wrong or something which is clearly absurd. There's a huge difference between wrong and just ba'id. Totally ba'id. How can a person even say that? But that's the way of the human being. And when you read the books of fiqh and the books of hadith, you'll find this. It is nothing strange. People that made all types of maqalat, ajiba jiddan. Okay? Ibn Ma'in, rahimahullah ta'ala, there was a narrator who Imam Ahmed reported from. And Ibn Ma'in, and this is a beautiful example of how absurd that statement is. When it was mentioned, Imam Ahmed narrated from him, he says, Junna Ahmed. He said, Imam Ahmed is going mad. Listen to this statement. Ibn Ma'in says he is going mad. He's crazy reporting from this one. So how can a person say there's no difference of opinion in his science? And just paint it as if it's agreed upon science, and anyone who steps out of the line is thrown out like that. La ilaha illallah. Alright, so not only is that extremely inaccurate scientifically, but that's just something that is mukabaratan. He's just going against common sense. And he's just going against the reality of the actual books. And that's what we always advise the students of knowledge, to keep your nose in the books. The books, the books, the books. Read what the ulama of Islam say. Go back, read what the earlier scholars have laid down and said, and then nothing is a mystery. It's clear as day. So a modern day scholar cannot make a statement and change something that was clearly established 700 years ago, 800 years ago. Ibn Hajar is saying something, Al-Dhahabi is saying something in the 8th and the 9th century. There is no Sheikh Al-Albani can come in the 20th century and say there is consensus. No. Or the exact opposite, as we said, that you cannot do that. So keep your nose in the books, O student of knowledge. Continue to read and to study. And the further you climb, and the shorter you make your chain, and the higher up the ladder you go, the clearer things become to you. Bidnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, some of the ulama, they would say that we have a person who has a few people who narrated from him, rawa anhu jama'ah, a good group, and a group, the quality of those people, they're good people. He didn't report anything which is munkar. There's no claims against him. Why not accept him? Why not accept him? And others, they say, no, he remains to be majhul. And others, they say, haythu yutubi', when he's mutaba is given to him, etc. They differ on how to deal with this person's hadith. Because as we said, it's not 100% black. It's not 100% white. It's gray. It's fuzzy. And obviously the context clues are going to play a huge role in looking at his hadith. All right? So as we said before, there are issues in which there is ijma', and there are issues in which there is difference of opinion. There are issues which are clearly cut, black and white, and there are issues in which there has to be detail. And this is one of them. All right? Who is majhul? When is the narrator considered to be majhul? When is the majhul's hadith taken, accepted? When can it be used as a supporting narration? Can it be used as a supporting narration? All right? All of those details have to be dealt with scientifically by a strong student of knowledge who's studying and practicing the science. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. We ask Him for beneficial knowledge of the sunnah, righteous action according to the sunnah, and da'wah, calling the people to the sunnah and being patient upon the harms that ensue from that. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.